Hafaday, we've called this press conference, this news conference, for two purposes. One is the abandoned vehicles problem that Guam has been experiencing, and quite frankly, they've been experiencing for at least 2 decades, because I remember as the first elected AG, when I was leaving office in 2006, the abandoned vehicles program was a program that we were going over back then. It has not gotten any better. All the efforts the government has done nothing really to reduce the elimination of cars that are coming in shiploads but are not leaving Guam and are just sitting on Chamorro Land Trust Commission property in village streets and so forth. The program has many facets to it, and the team behind me, part of them are going to be addressing that part of it, the Guam bomb program. The other one is going to be an indictment that I think is of great public interest to the public, and I'll have our team discuss that when we get there. So the abandoned vehicle problem that Guam has been experiencing and that people have been complaining about, that they're being charged in their registration as part of the DMV, Department of Revenue and Taxation fees that are charged to your cars, has been ineffective from the point of view of the AG's office. So what we're going to do is we're going to start gathering information on those vehicles, on who owns them, and charging them with felonies and misdemeanors. Part of this announcement today is to let the public know that we are going to have a short amnesty period. Anyone that has dumped their car in any part of Guam, and especially the mayors are aware of these vehicles, if they come forward to the Attorney General's office and identify themselves and where their vehicles are at, we will work with them without filing and taking their names before a grand jury to indict them. If they don't come forward, we'll be issuing the indictments as the information comes in. We will find you. The people that are burning their cars and that are trying to take the VIN numbers off, they're only making things worse. It is a felony to tamper with a VIN number. We know what they're doing, but there's also other identifying information on vehicles, as anyone that's a mechanic knows. So if they think they're getting away with getting rid of their vehicles at taxpayer expense, it's not going to work. Also, we all know that those vehicles, as they age and deteriorate and are left in the jungles, dump toxic chemicals into the water table. It matriculates down to the water table. And this is what is causing a greater concern for the AG's office, that we're poisoning the waterlands. We're already hearing that there's contamination that may be going on in Jigo. We're hearing that salt water may be getting into the water table because of the overharvesting of water. So this is along the line that we're going to do that in. Now, some of the issues that I've seen, having come back to the AG's office for the past 4 years, is the senators have made it worse in terms of getting rid of these vehicles civilly. I've seen a public nuisance type of approach to getting rid of these vehicles, to giving these people that leave their cars all over the island rights. The statutory amendments that have occurred since 2007 have made it harder for the Attorney General and the people to remove these vehicles from our villages. So it's with that in the backdrop that we've decided to use a criminal prosecution approach. Now, also part of our program, we initiated the 3 R's program a few months ago, and that is a criminal diversion program. We have a list, and I have Martin here, that is administering the program and vetting individuals that will be given an opportunity to contribute to our community, give back to the community, a second chance type program. It made a billboard a few months ago. It's also on our website if you wish to further delve into what the 3 R programs is about. Those individuals that make the 3 R's program, Martin, why don't you come forward? Martin is the one that's administering it for our office, and we already have several individuals that are partaking in 3 R's program. These individuals are going to be sought out and used in order to identify the thousands of abandoned vehicles that are throughout the island, and working with our mayors. Part of the 3 R's program that's one of the community service items that we've identified. for purpose of working with this Guam Bomb Busters program. So at that juncture, I'm going to open it up to the medias here. If you have any questions on it, the link that you see to my left should provide you information on this the Bomb Busters program.
Attorney
Yes,
General,
Troy.
are all the mayors on board with this? If there are some who are not on board with this program, who are they? And of those who are in support of this program, what sort of support are they offering to your office to get this done?
There's been, for the past 4 years, there's been an outpouring of help requests from the mayors. I've not heard one mayor that has said that they don't need our help and don't want our help. So, in fact, several mayors, including the Agana Heights, Sinahanya mayors, have reached out to me, Dededo, in the past 4 years, that have asked for the help of the AG's office in order to reduce the number of abandoned vehicles. The travesty is that people think that they can just park those cars, and I'm beginning to see them burn them. They're lighting them up, thinking that they're going to eliminate identification information on that, which again, I'm letting them know right now, it's not going to happen. And that's why we're going to be getting the personnel from the 3Rs program in coordination with the mayor's offices and our investigators. And I have William Salisbury here, my special agent in charge, that is going to work with Martin and the chief prosecutor, Neil Bonavita, to my left, in order to make sure that we effectively eliminate the cars on Guam. I will say that since January, then when I got in 2023, the lieutenant governor has had an inordinate amount of meetings with me, and I am disappointed by the fact that the administration has done nothing. I've given them pathways in order to clear these vehicles out. We've dealt with GEPA, Guam Environmental Protection Agency. We have at least 3 vendors that can clean these vehicles out, but nothing has been done in 4 years. So what do we do as the AG's office? We've got to figure out a way to, unfortunately, threaten these individuals that own these vehicles, that think that they can just abandon them and get away with having the taxpayers foot the bill for disposing of their vehicles. But even more than that, we need to find a viable way to either chop those cars up and get them off of Guam. We've got other islands in our area that have the same problem that we do. In the past, they had a ship from Korea that would pick up a lot of this and take it to the Korean recycling facilities. There's also one company on Guam that literally has the equipment that can break the car down and use the parts for different purposes, recycle it and actually use it for productive sales on Guam. So having said that, are there any questions particularly? Again, I have my chief prosecutor to my left. Yes.
You mentioned that this program takes a criminal prosecution approach, but in terms of getting rid of the abandoned vehicles, removing them from Guam, how will the program help with that?
Well, first of all, it should cause the reaction from the normal law-abiding person or anyone that thinks that they want to go into that area of abandoning their cars to take the vehicle to the appropriate disposal site. You've got, I think there's at least one company, it could be Lujan's also might take them, but there are companies on Guam that recycle vehicles. The only problem is they charge for it. So Revenue Tax, again, and the government of Guam is receiving money for this. Our objective is to just have these individuals connect with the proper administration official to drop off that vehicle and to have it properly processed out of island. If it can't be recycled through a used car type of situation. But dumping them into our villages, into other private property owners' properties is illegal. According to our review, there's also a statute that protects the private property owner, but it's more civil in nature and up to $1,000 fine. But the key statute, the felony, is within the Solid Waste Management and Litter Control Act. So these abandoned cars clearly fall within debris, refuse, that would subject them to a possible felony. And that's how we're going to approach it. There's also possible trespassing to government property types of issues, misdemeanors, violations. We're going to throw the book at them. We've had it, and that's why when I came in and I tried to restart that civil approach to dealing with the abandoned cars, the statute is so administratively difficult for this government to handle, and I've been trying to talk to senators on the anti-crime bill and gotten no responses. So this one, we're just going to go it alone and take it from what the Attorney General's authority can do and with the people of Guam and our grand juries. And hopefully the reaction is going to be positive. And that's why we're allowing for an amnesty period. We'll be announcing the length of the amnesty, but right now it is effective. We do have portals for people to contact us, let us know that their car may be in Dededo along Machechi Avenue. I can tell you that right now. They're burning the cars on the side, but everywhere, literally up the street. We just did a Moylan Minute on that, and we'll be releasing it today. But this is the type of proactive approach we need to do to fix this island. We talk about tourism. We complain about tourism, but when the tourists come here and see the junk piles of over 2 decades of abandoned cars are all over this island. Yeah, they removed some of them, but the quantity of cars coming in and no longer being functional, where people just dump them on the side, is inordinate. The up in Jigo Dededo area, the Chamorro Land Trust Commission property, Dededo what is that place called? It's a recycling place. The Global Recycling. They're a budding Chamorro Land Trust Commission property, and they have stacked hundreds, if not thousands, of cars up there on Chamorro Land Trust Commission property, and they've been deteriorating for over a decade with all the oil, transmission fluid, radiator fluid, you name it, that are toxins that are just dumping into one of the largest aquifers on Guam, which is Dededo. So something's got to be done, and we're ready to do it. We've got the nuts and bolts worked out. So thank you. Yeah. Yes.
Do you think it could be difficult finding the actual owners of the cars, considering, you know, people swap plates, pawn off cars, and, you know, theft by receiving, stuff like that? Do you think it'll be, or how hard could it be, do you think, to find the owner? And if you can't find the actual owner, could the person who it was loaned to face those charges if they dumped it?
And that's a good question, but a lot of it's going to go from, usually you'll have a police report associated with a vehicle being stolen. Most people will report it. We know that there's activity going on out there with the meth addicts that are trading, using vehicles as collateral security for the meth trade. But at some point, the law does provide that the registered owner of the vehicle is responsible for that car. And it goes all the way up to rev and tax. They've got VIN numbers, and they have other numbers that are stamped into that vehicle that we're going to be working with and this is also a shout out to our car dealers out there, because we will be getting that information in order to identify who, when, and where that car was sold. And those will be the names of the people of Guam versus that individual that owns that car that is in the somebody's yard or the government property. And to further answer your question, if a person has a car and has sold it, the law requires you go to rev and taxation and then you do the transfer. If you think that you can sell a car and then get away with the responsibility, that's not the way the law is structured. So that's why I'm saying, if you know that your car is sitting in some lot somewhere on the side of the road, if we get to it, we will charge the person who's the last registered owner of that vehicle. And Rev and Tax is going to be working with us. Yeah, we've already thought this from beginning to end. And with the criminal justice system, it doesn't matter if they leave Guam. Once the indictment or the misdemeanor complaint comes out, a warrant or a summons will be issued for their appearance. It'll go into the criminal justice system, and then regardless of where you are in the United States, your name will pop up. So if there's a warrant, usually that's going to be issued at some point. Okay?
You mentioned that there's going to be folks from the 3 Hours program helping identify the cars. Do we have a firm number of how many are going to be involved in identifying?
Well, I can tell you right now that we have dozens that Martin has available for me and my team to be reviewing. It's only a few months old now, but one of the categories that has been identified has been this project. We got other projects too. Martin, you want to talk about that a little bit? Why don't you come over here? Or we have a mic for him? Just come over here, Martin.
Other projects that we have for the 3 Rs division have been community outreaches, local bingo halls, and assisting with local mayor's offices in anything that they would need. And as well, there is also the Island Beautification Project, which we are working with the 3Rs project for, such as adopting bus stops with this office.
Right. The program was designed to give people that are worthy of a second chance versus the repeat criminals, the meth addicts, people that we know would have a low probability of succeeding, and the end result would be dismissal and expungement of their cases. We also have a lot of DUI people, businessmen that can contribute to our community in different ways. All this is online with our office, but getting from one point to one point is where we need to be. But because of the problem that these abandoned vehicles are causing, we've prioritized, I guess, for placement into the 3Rs program. We already have one individual that is assisting us, but we're going to get military guys that get pulled over for DUIs and stuff. They're the perfect ones to go to the different village mayors, get the list, the photographs, inspect that car, get the numbers off where we're going to identify the numbers are in all cars. It doesn't have to be the VIN number. There's other numbers on cars that you can work with. And then work with our prosecutors in the General Crimes Division to file the appropriate paperwork. So whether or not we're going to give them advance notice or not, I haven't thought that through that far. And that's why I prefer to give an amnesty for people through the medias to just, and we'll be issuing our release on that specifically, but to have them come forward. This is part of that, take responsibility for errors you may have made in your life. It resonates with this Attorney General. I'm willing to give a second chance, but you need to earn it. You can't just say, because I got a defense attorney, give me a plea. Right, Neil?
That's right.
We don't hand out plea agreements. And that's why, as you'll see with a lot of the complaining going on in our courtrooms, defense attorneys don't like it when we say open plea it. Otherwise, tell us why your client doesn't deserve to receive the punishment set forth in Guam law. Plead your case before the judge. That is the type of AG's office, and literally, I now have a requirement to make sure that the Attorney General signs off on all plea agreements. So creating the unified legal policy to get to the result sometimes requires restrictions, things that require a coordinated Attorney General's office. We are the largest law firm. We are the only law firm that can prosecute crimes, and we're using that ability as a strength to try to do what the governor should be doing. I'm sorry, this is the governor's job. It is not the Attorney General's job, but the Attorney General is the protector of the public interest and to help the people of Guam, who is our client. Okay, yes.
Is there any concern that this program could pull manpower away from prosecuting cases, other cases in general?
Absolutely. And I'm always looking at what is the good that we're trying to achieve and how much resources is it going to take of my limited number of prosecutors. And to quote our Chief Justice, Catherine Merriman, on May 1st, 2026, the dwindling number of attorneys. I think everybody up here that's an attorney is recruited from off island. And Nick is actually from a private law firm here, but comes from Boston, or Massachusetts. Yes, it is. It is a concern. But I mean, you hear this every day. We're becoming deadened to the impact this is causing us, the abandoned cars. But the poison that those, and you talk to any EPA official, and they fall off their chair when you say that there's an abandoned car on the side of the road, because they know, like we do, that the liters of fluid in that eventually rust out, the casings open, and it goes into the groundwater. We don't have the luxury of an ability to clean groundwater. That is a priority, I guess, when you get to the bottom of what is it that these cars, in addition to hammering our already our damaged tourism industry, that tourism engine, just like the panhandlers, just like everything that, when you see a deterioration in the quality of life, people that come to visit our island need to see the beauty that is in our island, but when you have all this around them, they do not want to come visit Guam a second time. I think that's what the tourist numbers have always shown, is that people don't choose Guam for a second visit. So it takes all the leaders, and I'm hoping the new governor with the new legislature, and if I'm involved in the next Attorney General's office, with this team, we will build upon what I think is important and a priority for us. Neil, did you have anything to say?
Only that as this program develops, to your point, obviously there are other crimes that we're prosecuting vigorously on this island as well. But this is an important process. Everybody will have their turn in court, or hopefully reach an agreement that can resolve not only their criminal action, but also resolve the issue of these rotting cars on our island. And so we'll continue to push that and utilize our resources both inside general crimes, as well as the 3 Rs program opportunities the general announced. And so we're looking forward to working on this program as well and carrying it out and effectively, in an effective fashion in general crimes.
Okay, so unless there's any other questions in that area. Now, the second part of this news conference is to, I guess, announce that the Government Corruption Division has been investigating a particular allegation of government officials working with a private company and overpaying them. And today, the grand jury at the Superior Court of Guam passed a true bill regarding the indictment that you have a copy in front of you. And it's the people of Guam versus Christine Olcari. Now, this news gathering is not intended to do anything more than, number one, indicate that in our criminal justice system, people are innocent until proven guilty. So the defendant here has that presumption of innocence. But at the same time, we are using this as an opportunity to advise the public that this is an ongoing investigation, that there are other targets of the investigation, and to seek out 2 things. Number one, that those people that have been involved in this should come forward to our office, speak with our investigative team, discuss their involvement and what they know about it. And number 2, for the general public to come forward and provide information that they may have regarding this Comfort Cuts contract for the Pequot Cemetery. I'm going to have my deputy, Albert Galloso, take it from here on the particulars, as well as Nicholas Ennis, who's the prosecutor that is assigned to this investigation.
Thank you, General, and thank you all for coming today. It's an important day for us because I got to tell you, these cases are rather difficult because they involve a lot of paperwork. And a lot of times we get stonewalled in terms of the paperwork that we do get. And that takes time. And while it may seem that it's tedious, I think that the benefits are to be reaped by everyone on Guam. And that's why whenever we prosecute these type of cases, and we're soliciting the public's help, right? Democracy is an activity. If you want to have a good government, if you want to have a good Guam, you got to participate. So that is our message today. If you have information regarding any agency, regarding any wrongdoing that you may think may be occurring, we are all ears, and we will listen, and we will investigate. And while it might take some time, because again, sometimes they stonewall with regards to documents, and you've got to line it up if you want to convince the judges, right? And later on, if you want to convince the jury. But I want to introduce you to one of our top prosecutors, Nick Ennis, who's to my right here, and he can address some of the general questions regarding today's indictment. But as you can you can understand, the case is active, and we have to protect everyone's rights, including the defendants, right? So, having said that, here's Mr. Ennis. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, as the general mentioned, so the grand jury in the Superior Court today returned an indictment charging Christine Okarill with one count of tampering with records, public records, which is a third-degree felony, and 3 counts of official misconduct as a misdemeanor. The indictment alleges unauthorized procurement and payment-related offenses related to a contract with Comfort Cuts and ground maintenance. These are allegations, and as the general mentioned, Ms. Okarill is presumed innocent, and the case will now proceed through the court process. And I'm happy to answer any general questions. Yes, Troy?
Was Christine Okarill involved in a conspiracy with Charissa Tenorio to defraud the government of Guam?
Again, the allegations are outlined in the indictment, and I'd like to focus on the charges in the indictment.
Which agency, or did any of the agencies give your office any problem with disclosure of information or documents that were needed?
As Attorney Gayoso mentioned, it did take time. I call it a discovery process, but it was really an investigation process. And, you know, the Guam courts currently are favoring disclosure to prosecution. I think a lot of the decisions coming out of this Guam Supreme Court have enabled us and have ruled on a lot of these criminal investigative statutes in our favor. And that was very useful in the investigative process.
And Troy, to riff off what Mr. Anderson just said, the investigation is still open. So while this is an indictment, there may be others. So it continues. You know. And that's why we really can't answer any specific questions. We don't want to prejudice anyone. And, you know, this Attorney General will prosecute anything that is lawful without fear or favor. Right?
When is she going to be answered to the charges?
The next hearing will be September 10th, and that is an arraignment, and the summons will be issued by the court today.
Well, when will her magistrate complaint come out?
So there was no magistrate complaint. These charges went straight to the grand jury.
Were they owners, co-owners, Charissa Tenorio or Franklin Rosalind of Comfort Cut? Are they person of interest with your investigation or the witness to your investigation?
So I can't speak on the current investigation. We're like, as Attorney Gayoso mentioned, we're still reviewing documents and still prosecuting any potential crimes that we may find. At this time, the only person charged in the indictment is Christine Okarill.
Can you speak? Can you speak to what led the Office of the Attorney General to this investigation or to this indictment?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Can you speak to what led you guys to this investigation or indictment?
Thank you. Yes, it was a lead provided by the public, by a news agency, and you know that's why we're asking for the public's input, you know, to help us with these investigations and to yeah.
Yeah, we'll identify it. It was Troy Torres of Candid News. He was one of the sources of key information, and it was just processed for purposes of what he had available. But, you know, this is why we're here. This is a law firm. The client is the people of Guam, and it's important for me to reach out to the client, to reach out to witnesses out there that can help the prosecutors format, understand, process, apply the law, and then find out whether or not these cases have merit to it and whether or not it's going to be taken to a grand jury. As I mentioned as we opened up, there are other targets in this investigation. And with this administration leaving, we are inviting individuals within the Department of Administration, within the Department of Parks and Recreation, and even in the private sector regarding the lawn maintenance for this cemetery. There's been allegations that services were being billed, that no services were done. That's a factual issue. So if there are people that were groundskeeper during the past several years that this contract occurred, come forward to our office. We want to hear and see photos about how that cemetery was not being kept. We want to hear about whether or not billings were being submitted when the grounds weren't being kept. This is a simple landscaping type of contract situation. It's not that complex, and it was a bid. So a big part of what we're doing today is reaching out to the public. We're also very keen to statute of limitations. So we're looking at as much information as we can get so we can vet people. And remember, part of the criminal justice process and the investigation process, you come forward to us first, you're more likely to get a cooperation deal than if you make the government, the people of Guam, the taxpayers, have to spend the effort to track you down. And we will find you. This is not a difficult case. You know, it's a matter of great public importance. How many people are buried in that cemetery that had family members coming there that saw on the different months, and when was the fact pattern began and when?
April 2021.
April 2021 forward, when you're going to the cemetery to visit a loved one, when you're seeing all the grass that was high, this is the type of information we're reaching out to the public. There were groundskeepers employed by the Department of Parks and Recreation that are cooperating with us. But it takes a village to clean this island up, and this is what we need.
That's right, yeah.
And like you've said, some of the dates of the conduct is alleged in 2023. Is this the same contract that was, I believe, canceled last year because by the Department of Parks and Rec?
Yes,
Director at the
that's,
time, Angel Sablan.
yes, that's right. The contract was canceled shortly after the conduct that we're indicting for. Yes, that's right. No comment on that. Yeah, no comment.
The investigation is open, and again, without fear or favor, wherever the cards may lay, you know? But we're not saying that he's a target. We're not saying he's not a target. There's an investigation, it's continuing, and whoever it reveals, it'll reveal. And then we'll pursue it at that point. When we have all our, you know, something else that's very difficult about Guam in terms of prosecutions is that sometimes people leave, right? Especially, and it's hard to discover sometimes these, you know, fraudulent activities because it's over the course of many years. So in a sense, you've got to reconstruct, right? And you've got to try to find these witnesses, and maybe they're on the mainland, or maybe they're in the Philippines, maybe they're somewhere else. And that makes it doubly, you know, even triply, if that's a word, you know, difficult to prosecute these cases and to investigate them. So please bear with us, but know that we're working on behalf of all of you, because you guys live here too. And it's your taxpayer money that's being misspent, you know? And it's not only this agency, it may be others, right? So if you've got information out there regarding any agency, come forward. We'll listen.
One of the key points here, if you notice, is certifying officers. Ever since my first term, I've always hammered the certifying officers. They are the safety valves for the community, for our tax dollars. They're being paid very handsome salaries. And for anyone that in our government is a certifying officer, they need to realize that the Guam legislature has made it a crime to abuse that authority and to authorize the use of taxpayer dollars when they should be the ones stopping it. So,
If I may ask, I guess, to Mr. Gayoso, Mr. Ennis, can you speak to your experience prosecuting crimes, government crimes, white-collar crimes like this in the past?
I've got 35 years as an attorney. I opened up the Government Corruption Division in 2003, first elected at AG's office. For 4 years, we had about, 130 convictions by plea, 4 jury trials. So I can tell you there's a difference now. The difference is we don't have enough attorneys on Guam. We don't have enough resources in order to hunt these guys down. They need to be hunted down. They need to be fearful of the Attorney General's office, like they are in the federal government with the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office. Criminals fear law enforcers, and law-abiding people respect them. And that is what we need to restore to this community. Where is all the money going? If you step back a moment, 24 years ago, our budget was about $350 million, $400 million max. We have a $1.4 billion budget. We can't get rid of the government, all these abandoned cars. We've got roads that are falling apart. We've got businesses closing throughout this island. We've got the Agania Pool that's been in repair for over 4 years. The quality of life is going down. One of the first indicators of when you've got massive money coming in and the quality of life is going down in services and government services and so forth is corruption. Our level of corruption that's going on Guam is massive. You talk to the public auditor. How many audits does that guy have? BJ Cruz. What is being done with that paper that he's kicking out? It's the Attorney General's office and it's the federal government that are usually the ones that have to hunt down, and the paper trails. This is all white-collar crime type of issues. But when you've got meth addicts running around out there, killing our community, people in our community, you got the police daily arresting meth addicts with guns in the cars and bringing the dogs in and so forth. The triage. You need to protect the people against the murderers out there and the meth addicts before we can spend our resources so much going after the corrupt officials. And they know it in the government. And that's why, look at the billboards that have gone up, our efforts with the meth and that Port Authority of Guam, and trying to urge the governor to control that port because she appoints that board. They've done nothing to curtail the amount of drugs coming through the port. Plus the Ocean Way. Where's the National Guard? They're coming in over the ocean every night. The fishing boats that are coming out. This is the type of stuff that these people in front of you are seeing every day. So the experience that we have a winning trial record with the 91 jury trial wins. We've got a team of professionals. So yeah, we're going to slowly take them before the grand jury, and all the government officials should realize that this governor is going to be leaving as of early January next year, and their protection is gone. If I'm here as the Attorney General, we will find the corruption, and we will work hand in hand with BJ Cruz and all the other law enforcement officials out there to find out this white-collar crime that arguably does more damage than a meth addict does. When you can't build a school, when you can't build a prison, when you don't have enough police officers on the street, it's the money, the millions of dollars that are siphoning off that we can't spend to where it should be spent.
Thank you for your question regarding the experience. But it got me to thinking that from our side, it takes a lot of different skill sets. When you're dealing with paper, you're dealing with numbers, who do you think of? Accountants, right? Who then have to account for all the, what got moved here? Is this a correct line item? When did that show up? What's the source of that? So it's a collaborative effort, I guess is what I'm saying. It doesn't get distilled to one person. It's a group effort. It truly is a group effort, okay? Because you have to review these documents, then you have to, the lawyers come in, and then they try to fit the elements, right? Is this a crime, what we're looking at? What are the anticipated defenses that might occur? How will we respond to them? Is there probable cause? And that's why I keep going back to this Attorney General, without fear or favor, will prosecute crimes wherever the cards lay. All right? So, because you might think, oh, he's elected, maybe there's something going on. No. That's not occurring. It's totally on the level. The evidence shows this is what we can prove.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I have two questions about charge one and then a question for the Attorney General regarding next year. Christine Okoro, at the time of these events, she was the designated certifying officer. Would that be correct for DPR?
Yes, that would be correct.
Okay.
Yes, that's what the documents
And
show.
then charge one, is this about, there was a contract for this particular year and it was for $24,750, but then she issued or allegedly issued the requisition for Comfort Cuts to be paid double that amount, right? $49,500. Would that be correct?
Yes, as the indictment alleges.
That's what the
right,
allegation
yeah.
is. Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure about that. And Attorney General, you said you were talking about the priorities and the resources and how difficult things have been made by the administration. And you just said that come next year, the governor's not going to be here. Are you saying it's going to be easier for you with the governor out of office to go after alleged corrupt acts that have occurred in the past 8 years?
I'm absolutely saying that when the governor can no longer control the cabinet, and look at the newspaper articles, Department administration preventing me from hiring and paying attorneys because we find every way in order to prosecute cases, to protect the government coffers, do our civil duties, review contracts. But when you have a governor of Guam that tells her cabinet members not to pay our attorneys, that is the art of war, right? It's just kind of like this foolish little game that people play, but it's our money she's playing with. She can't, this is not the rule of the game that you get to undermine the chief law enforcement officer elected by the people in order to enforce our laws. So my statement is that for all our people that are in government right now, assess your liability, assess what you know that has been happening, go forward to the public auditor, to the Attorney General's office, disclose what you know, because as we get stronger, and these last 4 years, I've built a very keen and well-oiled team of legal professionals in this office. We're 175 strong, and we will find you. We will find the corruption. We will follow up on BJ Cruz's audits. And for the government employees, the statute of limitations doesn't start until they've left the government. So, thinking that they're going to hide things isn't going to prevent them from being detected.
Are there corruption investigations happening that have not been publicly let out?
Absolutely.
That involve, there are?
Yes.
If you're reelected, do you see yourself prosecuting more
Absolutely.
corruption cases against
Bringing
this
to
administration?
fruition, and that's why when Nick mentioned that the Guam Supreme Court has been pivotal to give us the ability to use the grand juries for investigative purposes. And that is key to every jurisdiction, but Guam has now made it the law of the land here with our 3 justices, who I have great respect for. It's given Nick and this team the ability to root out corruption. But when you don't have enough lawyers, that becomes the problem. You can't, part of what Al is saying that, fear and whatever from my perspective, the main thing is I don't prosecute people unless it's going to win at trial. We map it out from beginning to end. We look at all the strengths and weaknesses, and then we decide to indict. We don't indict and then look past, what's going to happen tomorrow. So the accountants that are necessary for Nick, the CPAs, this office has hired them. We have the resources for it, let alone BJ Cruz himself, who's the head of that type of work, the accountants and the CPAs. We're all working together. So if I have anything to do with a third term, with the honor of representing our people in this community, we will continue doing what we're doing, and we're going to amp it up. We've already got plans on what can be done better. We've got 8 years of experience with me. These guys up here, highly experienced and educated. So yeah, we're going to go after them. We're going to hunt them down, prosecute, convict, and get our judges to send the message to the community. Deter crime. Do you want to be like this individual? Because this individual went to jail. That's how a community gets better. That's how people, the certifying officers, before they're so willing to sign, nope, I'm not going to sign it because this attorney general is going to take me before a grand jury, and our members of our community are going to raise their hand like they did in this case. And then it's going to go forward towards a trial, and they'll have their day in court to prove their innocence or not. Unfortunately, yeah. But you guys have to realize that when you go after the rich and powerful, those words, rich and powerful, mean something. That means that they're going to fight like the Dickens, use whatever power they have to undermine my team, my prosecutors, the attorney general, weaken my office so that we can't go after them. And that's why I'm saying when you let loose all these meth addicts on the roads, and they get let go from the prisons, my prosecutors have to defend the people that are going to be killed by these people or robbed, raped, whatever you want to call it, that associated with the meth industry. It gives me less time to go after the white-collar criminals who are usually the leaders that are unleashing all these meth addicts or being dealers of the drug world, laundering, you name it. Okay? So, yeah, we're trying as hard as we can.
Guam could be greater still if everyone just participated and called in. And it's not like you're calling in a neighbor or anything like that. We don't want to live in that kind of state. But it's your place. It's your yard. It's your home. Take stock in it.
It's
You know?
your tax dollars.
Right. Participate in this democracy. You know, get involved. Create a podcast. And get involved, and we will be listening ears. And to get to Troy's point, yeah, we got other investigations going, but we're not going to tell you right now because that would, alert them. But I'll tell you something. In the next administration of this gentleman to my left, we will pursue everything. And we will go after everything. You know? But these things take time. We're not prosecuting jaywalking. You know, I don't even know whether that's a crime here. But
Become a crime fighter. You know, after 4 years, that's what it's solidified to. Become a crime fighter. Participate, take hold of your community, take hold of your villages. You know, report the meth houses, as I know that people are doing to the police department. Report the people in the department that are doing things illegally, which we have had hundreds of people, in the last 4 years, we've had hundreds of people sit down with us, telling us about what's going on in departments throughout the government, let alone the media. The media is invaluable to condensing the information, packaging it, and giving it to the community, both sides of the equation, defense and prosecution. You document the fight. But the fight, in this case, I'm on the good side. So protect the community and live a better life. Okay. So, is there
Are
any
there
other?
any questions from the media present? All right. So thank you for the members of the media who are following this presser. Before we conclude, we'd like again, as the Attorney General mentioned, remind the public that tips regarding this case and other suspected government corruption matters can be submitted directly to the AG's Government Corruption Division. If you can see the TV screen on my left, tips can be submitted by email at gcd@oagguam.org, through our WhatsApp hotline as well. That's 671-475-HELP. It's pretty easy to remember, 4357, or by scanning the QR code that is also displayed on the screen. Once again, thank you to everybody who is here today, and this concludes today's presser. Thank you, everybody.